Everything that you build, it's something like I've never seen before. Everything you're doing, from the farm to catering to your brides, the way you do, it's so special.
We start in December ordering seeds. Everything is hand seeded, and then everything is hand planted, weeded, hand picked, harvested, brought to the barn. We tied it up. We made sure the storm that came, we protected it. We knew that snow was coming. We had to cover it. We've done some amazing weddings. We've done some huge weddings that are just mind-boggling. And sometimes it's nice just to pause, sit back and go, I think there's so many different things that we're allowed to be a tiny little part of that means so much.
Hi, my name is Andrea, and besides of being recently married, I own the leading company in bouquet preservation in the world. It is when connecting with my clients that I felt the need to serve them and help them navigate this new and exciting journey. On this podcast, we bring you everything you need to know to plan the wedding of your dreams. We'll be featuring conversations with top wedding vendors and valuable tips and advice from real couples. Whether you're engaged, simply love, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and let's get started on this journey to your perfect wedding day. Welcome to the club, to Bridal Club.
Liza, I am so excited to have you on our podcast this time since you actually just hosted me on yours. I would love for you to tell our audience who you are and everything about what you do.
So my name is Liza Goetz. I am the owner of Wildly Native Flower Farm. I am a flower farmer florist. And for people who don't understand what that is, we are actually the farmers who grow the flowers for the florists. My passion is growing. My daughter's passion is design. So kind of a funny story how we got started. I was a high school ag teacher. And I was in the classroom. I was an FFA advisor. We had a floriculture team, which obviously my daughter was part of. And we were doing every activity and event. And they were like, hey, can you just do the flowers? We were like, yeah, sure. And we would do little flowers. We would do big flowers. We'd do graduation flowers and ceremony flowers. And everybody just knew that we would do the flowers. I had been growing some flowers here on the farm, just as like fun. I was going to take that next step. I was considering wholesale. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I knew I could grow flowers. And one of my former students called me and she's like, Miss Katz, Miss Katz. I was like, oh God, what's wrong? It was lunchtime. And she's like, I'm getting married and I want you to do my flowers. And I went, no, absolutely not. And my daughter was standing next to me because she was in my class. It was lunchtime. She was eating lunch and she's like, oh yeah, we can do that. And I looked at her and I was like, what? And she was like, oh, we can do that. I was like, we'll talk. So I hung up with Rebecca and I looked at Lizzie and I was like, what? And she was like, we're already doing all of the things. We can do this. I was like, oh, okay. So we sat with Rebecca, came up with what she wanted. We all worked together. And that's really how the first wedding for us started. Her confidence and my I can grow that.
Crazy how that one moment and her saying, yes, we can do it, shifted your entire journey.
It was a moment where she made a decision that she didn't realize at the high school level would then influence her collegiate level, which would then also influence her future career. Because once she graduated from college, she went to Delaware Valley University for landscape design. She wanted to go for floriculture, but they didn't have it. And the places that did have it were too far away. So she ended up kind of settling because it was still plants and a lot of math. That was the other thing that was funny. But she was home every weekend. We were doing weddings. We were doing COVID. We were still busy. We were still doing flowers. And she made that decision when she graduated. She had offers in Texas, Florida, New York, for floriculture and for design. She had a bunch of offers and she came to me and said, I want to be here. This is where I want to be. And I was like, are you sure you don't want to go do something for a while and experience? And she was like, no, I want to grow this. I was like, okay.
That's amazing. That is truly amazing and so inspirational. I hope that our listeners get to listen to your story and go to your website and Instagram because everything that you build, I mean, it's something like I've never seen before. I just absolutely love everything you're doing from the farm to obviously catering to your brides the way you do because it's so special. I mean obviously looking back, I'm already married. I kind of wish I had that experience too. So walk me through the process of what your brides experience since you are at the farm.
It's different than the traditional florist where you walk in, and I always picture a florist shop, the tinkly little bell, and it smells good, and there's glass coolers and a whole bunch of flowers. Ours is a little different. You drive down the farm lane, the flowers are on the left. The buckets that we pick into are on the front porch. You walk into the front door. There is no tinkly little bell, and we're working. There's a mess on the floor, there's flowers everywhere. It is definitely a space that is both design and in from the field because you'll see the buckets and buckets and buckets and buckets that we pick every day. So we're not just doing weddings, we're also doing day-to-day shop sales. We're also doing bundles for different markets and things like that. So when people first walk in, they usually say one of two things. Wow, or they say it smells good in here. So those are the two things that I consistently hear from folks. What is a little different for us is the fact that I can then say, usually by the time they're on the farm, it's very rare that we have a pop-in person, but usually by the time they're coming to the farm, they have a proposal, we have an idea as to color, shape, texture, size, what they're looking for. Let's go out to the field. And I encourage folks to touch, taste, smell, feel,
Oh,
experience everything because most people are not flower literate. They know
yes.
a couple things, common things. But when you start talking about flowers and I start going down rambling lists of things, they kind of glaze over. And it's different when I hand a bride a vase, which she normally hands to her fiance if he's with her. And
Interesting.
then I cut a flower and I tuck it in the vase, or I hand it to her and say, we use it for this. Do you like this shape? Do you like this texture? Do you like this style? And sometimes people say, wow, I really like this. And I'll say, well, use that, but I won't use it in your bouquet. I'll only use it in vase work. And here's the reasons. So it's a very different, it's educationally based. I can't undo the teacher in me, but it's also helping people understand the why behind how certain things work.
I love the fact that again, it's such a unique experience because I've never experienced anything like that before, and I guarantee you that most people haven't either. So having that experience for your own wedding is something that you're never gonna forget. And not only that experience, but you have learned a lot. Something that I mean, you necessarily didn't sign up to learn, and now you have that all that knowledge. And I guarantee you, people are gonna continue to seek those flowers for the rest of their lives. Truly, that's so special.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's nice because I feel like people feel like they fall into two camps. It's either like roses and baby's breath and that style, or they fall into what people initially think when you say flower farm. They tend to think of farmers market and picnic style. They tend to think more sunflowers. And I don't think they understand that different florals can still have that elegant feel without having to be just roses. We do grow some roses, but I want to say I grow them under protest.
Interesting. Hey, I like that. I like that. But you're right. Most people truly only know certain flowers. Like even myself, right? I mean, I had no idea that I was gonna end up with this business, to be honest with you. And I had to learn my I don't know that I have my I call it my flower Bible, but it's like a book. You probably have seen it, Flower by Color or something like that. It's a
Yeah.
stunning book. Up until this day, we use it almost every day,
Yep.
because we're learning our flowers. So for them to experience that again, it's so unique. What kind of flowers do you grow? Since you said like
Oh,
the roses are, you have to grow the roses, but what else do you grow?
oh my gosh. So obviously we grow with the seasons and we're constantly growing in rotation. So things that are sometimes hard to find and are a little difficult for a traditional florist to be able to get a hold of and use, we are able to cut right out of the field and use super fresh. So obviously we grow a ton of dahlias. We have hundreds of feet of eucalyptus. We have dahlias, we have roses, we have ageratum. We have 5 different varieties not species, well, species, not just varieties. Like we have a lot of different colors, but celosia. We have the spike, we have the plume, we have the fluff, we have the coxcomb, we have the Bombay, like all of these different kinds. We have tons of gladiolas. And I think one of my favorite things about gladiolas is all the hummingbirds that it attracts.
Yeah.
That will make you stop in your tracks in the morning because you hear this zzz, and you're like, oh, what kind of bee is that? And it's not, it's a hummingbird. And they're just like beside you, like, hello, how are you? We grow pilotus, which is a little bit different. It's a feathery pink,
Hmm.
shorter. It's a neat flower. It's really different. Obviously, we have sunflowers. We have sweet Annie. We have some asters because we're just starting to shift to some of those early fall flowers. Marigolds, tons of zinnias, lots and lots and different kinds of zinnias. So the traditional zinnia, the Oklahoma variety, which is tighter and more petally, the cactus variety, which is large and has a lot of petals. So there's big, there's small, there's different hues, there's all kinds of different textures that we will do with zinnias. Snapdragons, which are almost year round for us. We grow different species based on the weather. We have some darrow, and this is just the annuals. There's a ton of perennials that I haven't even scratched the surface on.
Wow.
So
What are your
some
favorite?
everybody asks me that, and it's hard to pick one. I
Yeah.
think if I had to pick one per season, that may be a little easier.
Okay.
But if I had to pick just one thing that was my favorite to grow, it's the eucalyptus patch. And I know it's not a flower, but it's the color, the shape, the size, the smell, everything about the eucalyptus, because without that greenery foundation, the flowers kind of don't have what they need to really pop. You've got all those different hues and textures of eucalyptus, and you need that to really have all of those other flowers make sense in a way. You have to have your greens. So
Yeah.
if I'm having one of those crazy off days, I'm in the eucalyptus, and everybody knows, ooh, she's in the eucalyptus. Leave her alone.
Hey, it does relax you, though that scent is fabulous. I love that you touch base on greenery because most people don't even think about greenery whatsoever when it comes to their bridal bouquet, and we love to incorporate greenery in our pieces.
You have to have it for structure. If you're making a bouquet, if you're making a vase arrangement, whatever you're doing, it's that anchor piece that kind of gets you started. Even in a scattered vase, a tiny little bit of a piece of green kind of helps set the tone of what it's going to look like. I
Yes.
mean, we use a ton of different styles of greens. We use a ton of different textures. And we have them tucked all over the farm because I don't have to worry about them as much. I can, we pick forsythia in the spring because it's pretty and it's yellow, but throughout the season, oh my gosh, I'm using that as a green. And then viburnum in the fall, that starts to hue like those colors of those leaves start to change and it really lends a different hue to the entire arrangement. And then you get berries as an added bonus.
Mhm.
So multi-use, multi-function because you have the flowers in the spring. So, you know, trying to think outside the box, trying to have it make sense. And quite frankly, some of the things that we have, we dry, we press, and we sell on Etsy as well. So there's lots of different ways to use your greens.
We spoke about the experience going to the farm because I almost feel like you're walking down the fields and you're actually seeing everything in their habitat. So it's easier for them to like speak to the person who's going to be picking those flowers. But for those who have no idea where to start, how would you guide them through the process of picking their wedding bouquet or what the wedding flowers in general?
A lot of the times people come to us and they truly don't have any idea. They start off with a color palette, and that's usually a great place to start.
Okay.
Most people have a Pinterest or they've snipped some screenshots from TikTok or something along those lines,
Okay.
Instagram, any of your socials. So that gives us an idea for feel and texture. I do a lot of listening in those initial phone calls as they're describing things and I'm looking at their pictures. But we also have taken a lot of time to make sure on our website we have things broken out by season. So if you're blue and white spring versus blue and white fall, you're going to have totally different styles of flowers. So knowing, are you a big ruffly petally person? Do you want rounded bouquets? Do you want that more organic, fluffy kind of shape? Okay, great. Let's go to your season. Let's go to your style and let's see what some of those color palettes are and take a look at work that we've actually done. And we can then align and figure out what we're doing that makes the most sense for them. So a lot of the times I'll say, have you looked at this gallery or where are you in the process? Because I know it's frustrating for us sometimes when we talk to a bride and they're like, I think I went pink. Define your pink because there's light pink, dark pink, moody pink, summer pink, winter pink, autumn pink, spring pink. Define your pink. And do you want pink with hues? Do you want pink with white, pink with cream? There's a lot that goes into it.
And honestly, like pink can mean so many different things to people, right? So that's exactly why you're asking this question. I love how resourceful your website is. I know firsthand what it's like to put so much resources on a website. Like it does not come without a lot of effort. I know that because we have a whole gallery that filters by type of flower and color of the flower and whatnot. At the end, it's a tool, an amazing tool for brides to use, but also for you to be able to, as you said, like set expectations and show them everything. Walk me through once the bride said, okay, I like pink and I like these tones. This is my color palette. What happens next?
What we try to do is we have the initial phone call where it's just a lot of fact finding, a lot of making sure we gel, they gel, and the vision and everything that they want fits. After that, we take all the information, we send their initial proposal. Once we know that everything is going to move forward, I encourage folks, if they're within a year, to come out during their season and do the walkthrough. I have some brides who want to do it right then and there when they book with us, and that's great. I can do a walkthrough, but I also tell them your fall flowers and your spring flowers are totally different. It's going to be different textures, so let's do the walkthrough, and it makes them feel better. I individualize it for every single person. So I'm not trying to like skate around answering, but every single bride is different and every single situation is different. Because some people need more, they need more to feel comfortable and to understand, where other people are like, here's my color palette, make it pretty. I don't speak flower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got a lot to here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure you guys get that a lot. Hey, here's my stuff, make it pretty. Sometimes it's great and I love that they have that much confidence, but I also sometimes stress when people do that because I'm like, my pretty and your pretty, do they match? And
Right.
that's why that initial phone call is so critical to me,
Yeah.
that I make sure that everything lines up and I understand, and
Right.
it's very personal for me, for them, for everybody.
I agree. In our process, you have to have a design consultation, whether you want it or not. I mean, it's
Yep.
part of it. I feel like in the past, we honestly wouldn't have a lot of issues, but when we did, it was almost always if they missed the consultation because they didn't want it. Back then, you could opt out. Now it's required. Because we get to know so much about them, regardless if they want to have a lot of input in their piece or not. We get to know them as a person, what their home decor looks like. Of course, in your case, what the wedding is going to be like, the mood and whatnot. And it's just so important.
I think for me, making those connections, asking those initial questions of how did you meet? How did he propose? What is your tie to the venue that you've picked?
Mm.
It then helps me understand them. And a lot of the times as I'm listening, I can then understand, okay, they're going to want more texture. And I'll even say to people, oh, you're a texture person. Or I definitely have found if people are in money, like if they're accountants, they want things very tight and very specific.
Interesting.
So there's personalities
Yeah.
that you start to understand. Our job as florists is to make sure that the day of, we're continuing their story. And honestly, it doesn't matter whether it's a wedding, it doesn't matter if it's a funeral, it doesn't matter if it's a birthday. Tell us why you want it the way you want it, and let us help you tell the story that you want. You do the same thing.
Yeah, and honestly, it makes it so much special because no project looks the same because it really is catered to that person, whether they're telling us exactly what they want or not. We're just gathering information and creating something for their unique style. Everybody's different. So I have a question. Do you have like a special project that you absolutely adore that you reference back a lot?
That's hard because I feel like each season there's a standout. I think one of my favorites was one of the first weddings that we did. It was at Britland Estate. It was so bright, so colorful, and so incredibly family focused. I've never seen anybody have so many different people. Her aunt came and worked on her bouquet with us because they brought certain things from their garden. Another family member brought other pieces that they wanted because she had containers. Like there was so much thought, care, and love that went into that particular wedding. Amazing. We've done some amazing weddings. We've done some huge weddings that are just mind-boggling. And you've got 5 or 6 people to set up. You have all of these things happening, and sometimes it's nice just to pause, sit back, and go, "Wow, look at that. That's cool." And other times, it's those private, tiny elopements that get your heart. So I think there's so many different things that we're allowed to be a tiny little part of that means so much
Yeah.
that I think each one has its own piece that we love.
I love that you have your client's best interest at heart. That obviously speaks with everything that you do and how proud you are with everything that you do from start to finish. I can't even imagine for you to be able to see like things that you grew at your own farm, being able to speak so much at a wedding. That is amazing.
It's crazy because we start in December ordering seeds. You order the seeds to get them on time, to get them planted, to rototill, to hand plant. So everything is hand seeded, and then everything is hand planted, weeded, hand picked, harvested, brought to the barn, and hand arranged. So literally from start to finish, from field to fancy table, to just stand back and go, okay, we saw that whole thing. We tied it up. We made sure the storm that came, we protected it. We knew that snow was coming. We had to cover it. Like all of those little details. Sometimes it's easy to forget.
Love that you share that because ultimately somebody's carrying a bouquet that, of course, are flowers that they selected, right?
Yeah.
But at the end, your journey, like their life's journey, I would be so honored to one day preserve one of your arrangements, whether that is for a bride or a memorial, and then hopefully so you could see it because ultimately it's gonna live forever,
Yeah.
in a way.
It
But yeah,
means something.
yeah.
It means something. Yeah, 100%.
I love it.
100%.
So let me ask you, where can people find you, connect with you, and use you for their weddings?
Of course, all of the socials. We're on Instagram. We're on Instagram for Wildly Native Flower Farm, and that is more of the wedding side. We are also on Instagram. We have a petal pantry side. So there are some culinary florals. So we have some salts and sugars and just some fun petals that you can use in a whole bunch of different ways. So that's another Instagram space. And then, of course, our podcast. You have the Flower Files because I think when we first created our podcast space, we wanted it to be about everything. We wanted it to be not just about, hey, we're the farmer and this is how you drive the tractor, but I wanted to have real conversations like we're having about the reality and the behind the scenes and some of the different things that go on. We've got TikTok, we've got Facebook, we've got all of the things. Website is, of course, very direct if you're looking for something specific as well.
The podcast itself, it doesn't come easy. It's a lot of work. And I was so honored to be on your podcast. So as soon as we started having a conversation and we had that instant click, we had so much fun, by the way. And I really hope that our listeners like go back and listen to our podcast together on your channel.
Podcasting is intimidating
Yes.
because when you first start out, first of all, you got to get over like, oh, I gotta talk. And then you're like, oh, what if they don't like my voice? You kind of get that stuff out of the way. And then you're kind of like, okay, I'm doing this. And then you have to step outside of your bubble and meet new people. So I was so incredibly grateful when I met you and we gelled and everything clicked that I was like, oh, a person who can like talk my language and we gel and it was perfect. So thank you.
It was so much fun. I feel like you learn a lot about me, and now I'm learning a lot about what you do. And seriously, my respects with everything you're doing. I'm so happy that you get to work with your daughter. What a dream. And that you're so family oriented, like growing this empire. You're building a legacy. You really are. And you're doing the same for other people, which I think is amazing.
Everybody loves flowers. I wanted it to be something that made sense and was fun and it fits. Some of the favorite things that I get to do is I love to go deliver.
Mm.
I love to walk in with bouquets. I love to walk in with those happy birthday moments. I love to take the leftovers from weddings and surprise people locally with them. Flowers make people smile. People come to the door frowning because they don't know who's there and what's going on. And then they see flowers and they're like, oh, like their faces change. I can't imagine when you deliver your pieces, if you get to see the people come in, oh, I bet you their faces just light up.
Yes, I mean, ultimately, our goal is for the flower preservation to look as close as possible to the way the flowers look when they were fresh, which is a lot of work because obviously the secret is in the way we preserve the flowers, but also how we color restore the flowers to make sure again that the vibrancy of the colors are there. If the bride or the person who lost somebody doing funeral flowers, if they were attached to those flowers, which obviously in most cases they were, and that's why they're preserving them, if they were attached, they're going to love their pieces. And ultimately, it takes them back to that special moment, which a lot of the time is weddings, you know? And they think about the florist and they think we're about that experience as a whole. And for us to be able to be kind of like be a middleman and do something, from event to an heirloom, it's so special for us too. Well, I could talk to you for hours. I know we're going to have a chat soon, but thank you so much again for jumping in on this
Yeah,
podcast with me. And I can't wait for our guests to connect with you and to share this episode.
absolutely. Likewise. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course.